What's up YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter back, and today we're going to do something we haven't done in quite some time, and that is hunt a $500 box of Brinks wrapped quarters. One of my Fifth Third locations finally had a spare box for me, and I'm excited to get into these. I have actually opened the box and looked at the top row for enders. Looks like a pretty typical box, but I will say a lot of them look short. Got real deep paper there, so anyway, we'll be hunting through these for all kinds of things like West Point minted quarters, San Francisco business strikes and proofs, and of course, silver, along with a lot of die varieties like die chips, die cracks, as well as mint varieties and errors. So if you like that sort of thing, stick around. We're going to get into this box and see what we can find. Okay, let's go ahead and get these first couple of rolls open here on camera just to see what the box is looking like. Do we have a bunch of new looking quarters? Do we have a bunch of old looking quarters? What do we have? Now, judging from the enders, I do expect to see a good circulated box with probably some new coins, but I didn't see any full brand new rolls, which actually I get kind of excited about. So right now, there are no enders there. I do see a 2023, so there's a confirmation that we will have some new coins. We've got a 20, I think that's a 2020 there on the end. We'll be sure to check for that W as we go through it. But these first couple of rolls, I just want to see if we've got some silver. And as I go back through and hunt these coins, I will bring you in as we find things. And of course, if there is value behind them, we will be sure to talk about it. Let's do one more on camera, and then I will bring you in, and it looks like we've got one of the new 2024s right here on the end. Now I do have a document and description down below this video and all my coin roll hunting videos that go through all the things that I hunt for, and there's also a link in the description down below to a fantastic resource called the Strike It Rich with Pocket Change book that I highly recommend to anybody that's interested in coin roll hunting, because not only does it tell you what to look for, it has pictures so you know exactly what you're looking for. So with that, I'm going to go back through these. If we find anything interesting, I'll be sure to bring you in. So we are just 3 coins, or really about 5 coins in on this first roll, and we have our first little die chip error. This one we find all the time. It's on the 2022 Philly. That's where I find it most of the time, but it is a die chip error there in her hair. We'll go ahead and put it under the scope to make it a little easier to see, but right here there should be an open channel between her locks of hair, and instead you can see we've got a big old hunk of metal right there that's not supposed to be there. Now I'll put some eBay comps on the screen here or at the end of the video so you can see what something like this is worth if you were to try to sell it today, and that's why I hang on to it. Now for those of you like me who are getting a little bit older, I think I still have this in the description down below, but this thing's been a godsend because it helps me go through coins. Now, through the camera lens, you're not going to see it magnified, but for me, this is actually magnified at about 10 or 15 times. So this has been really helpful when I look at things like dimes and pennies and even quarters today. So I did want to call that out. There's a Amazon affiliate link in the description down below if you're getting it's a little hard for you to see like it is for me these days. But anyway, our first find of the hunt. So we're getting through rolls 11 through 15 on roll 11, and I've seen a couple of these along the way, and I've pitched them back because they were pretty weak, but this one's strong enough that I thought I'd bring you in. We do got some damage on it, but this is a 2023 Philadelphia. This is the Marietta Tall Chief with the die chip up in the little hat. It's easier to see under a little bit more magnification, but you'll see right here in the little feathers of the hat, we've got a gigantic die chip right in here that's not supposed to be there. Now, this is really common. Like I said, I've thrown 3 or 4 back that just had little tiny die chips right here. I've kind of gotten to the point where now if they're not pretty big, I'm not hanging on to them. That's how common they are. So anyway, we're going to put it on the board as a find. So we're getting through roll number 15. We're about halfway through, and I have an NQ's error on the Bessie Coleman. This is the 2023 Philadelphia is where I see it the most. This coin has a lot of different errors you can look for. Die chips in the gloves, big die chips up on the airplane. But another one that I always look for is this little NQ's error down here on the EC initials. And it's where you see pretty strong doubling here on the E and the C. Now, I've seen it where the E is all the way out here and the C is all the way out here. I've seen tripling on this. I've seen all kinds of weirdness on this, but this is called an NQ's error. It's not a double die because these are inset inside the coin. They don't protrude outside the coin. So this one's pretty cool, and we do find these pretty often. I don't recall the value on these because it's been a while since I've looked on eBay, but I'll be sure to put a comp up either here or during the wrap-up. So we're getting through rolls 16 through 20, actually on roll 18, and we've come across something that we don't see very often anymore. And it's a 2022 Philly Wilma Mankiller, and it's the little wart on the nose. It's the big die chip up there on Washington's beak there. Looks really cool under a little heavier magnification, but you can see here we've got a great big old die chip up here on the nose. Now, I used to find these pretty frequently when the 2022 quarters first came out, and they're getting harder and harder to find. So kind of cool when you do find them. I've got a little tube started of all the ones I've found. And it's not just on the Wilma Mankiller you can find this. It's most of the 2022s. You can find that die chip up there. So be on the look for it. So we were getting through rolls 31 to 35, and I'm bringing you in on roll 34 towards the end, or maybe about halfway through. And we've got a Homestead quarter here, 2015. Now, it's a Philadelphia. Normally, I'm bringing you in to show off a DDR in the windows or some snow on the roof. But today we found the leaky bucket, and it's something we haven't found in quite some time. And it's not the best specimen in the world, but I did want to just show it to you. You can see right here, we've got a great big die chip underneath the bucket. The line for the bucket actually is right along the top here. So we call that the leaky bucket because a lot of times that die chip can get really big and extend all the way down here underneath the water pump. But the other thing I called out, you want to check these windows for DDR, and you definitely want to check this roof for die chips up there. We call that one the snow on the roof. But another little die chip error that is fun to find. And these did, you know, when they first came out, they were worth quite a bit of money. I don't know what they're worth today, but again, we'll talk about that in the wrap-up. So we're opening up rolls 36 through 40. We've got 36 here, 37. I just started getting the paper off, and we've come across something we don't find a whole lot of, or at least I'm guessing at this stage, but we probably have a gold-leafed quarter here. Let's get the paper off and take a look together. And it is, but it's kind of one of those fancy ones, I guess. We've got Texas 1845. It's a 2004, and it's like one of those stylized ones. So the fields are all in gold, and the details are all in, I guess we would call that whatever, the nickel clad. So pretty cool. Let's weigh it real quick just to see what it weighs. Should weigh about the same as any old quarter. So we're at 5.6. Sound test sounds like clad. So still a cool find. And usually when I find these gold-leafed ones, they're gold-leafed all the way through. So this is kind of a neat and interesting coin for me. I'm going to look it up and see if I can learn anything more about it online. And if I can, I'll bring you back in. We'll talk about it. Otherwise, we're going to keep on hunting. Getting through the last 10 rolls here, bringing you in here on 9 from the end, and we've got another die chip error that's fairly common and easy to find, and it's the die chip here in Washington's hat. You can see it there. It's very small. We'll put it under some magnification for you. There it is. I'll put some comps on the screen for something about this size, but this die chip error, the one you're really looking for is the full crown where the chip goes all the way from rim to rim. It's huge. Back when they were first being found, they could be worth $50, $60, $70. I know they've come down in value since they've been found, but these are still something that should be on your search list because they're kind of interesting little die chip errors. Well, that's going to wrap up our quarter hunt, and you can see we pulled a fair number of quarters out of that box. Now, there's not a lot of value for a lot of it, but we're going to go through it, and there's a couple of things in here that I was excited to find, so let's talk about everything on the table. We'll start over here. It's what I typically do in most of my hunts. A lot of people do collect the bicentennial quarters thinking they're special. You can get a small premium for them on a full roll, somewhere between maybe $15 and $20 for a $10 roll. If you do decide to sell those on eBay, keep in mind, after your shipping costs and your fees, you're not going to make a whole lot of money. So where I'm at now is I have a few rolls of each, and I just keep the nicest ones. Everything else I pitch back, but do not hang on to these thinking they're super special because they were overproduced. Now, I say all that. The Denvers, which are the upside down ones here, the reverse facing ones, you should always be checking your Denvers for the DDO. It's heavily doubled up here in the word liberty or in the in God we trust. Those can be worth quite a bit of money. So I do check all my Ds before those get pitched back. We're going to come back to this coin at the end because I do want to talk about that one for just a moment. The rest of these were all either NQ's errors or die chip errors, and I'll just give you the blanket. Most of these are going to be worth like $1.50, $1.99, plus some shipping, all the way up to $4 or $5. So, you know, for a lot of people, these may not be worth digging out just for the resale value because there's not a ton of value in them. Perhaps you could get really nice ones and sell them by the roll. Or maybe you decided it's worth your time to make a buck here and a buck there. But I do like to pull them because they are errors and I do keep rolls of them. So going through them very quickly, we did find 2 of the Bessie Coleman NQ's errors where the EC initials down here in the lower right-hand corner are fairly heavily doubled, I guess I should say. We did get 2 of the Man Killer quarters with the die chip in the hair. And if I don't call it out special, just assume like maybe $2, $3 on a resale on eBay. The Marietta Tall Chiefs, these are really easy to find. It's the die chip up here in the feathers. I've started to just keep the really nice ones. The bad ones go back, sort of the ugly, grimy ones. Now, the Leaky Bucket is still commanding $4, $5, $6. Now, this one's a little bit grimy. I could soak it in some Easy Est or something to see if we could make it a little more appealing. Definitely don't want to clean it or scrub at it. Easy Est is just like a little chemical bath to get some of the dirt and grime and maybe this little bit of patina that's on there off, if you care enough to do that. But that big die chip down there on the bottom of the bucket, that is the Leaky Bucket designation there. And like I said, a couple $4 or $5 still on eBay for one that looks just like that. We did get the little wart on the nose, 2022 Philly. Man Killer die chip right there. Surprise, these were only going for maybe $2 or $3. And then the Crossing the Delaware with the small die chip in the corner. Again, $1.99, $2.99 on that. If you can find the big full crown error, they're still going $30 to $50. So I've never found one. I did have a viewer send me one. I was very appreciative to receive that. Now, over here is all just stuff that I pull and hang on to due to it being low mintage. So your 2009s all the way through your 2012. The various coins in there, there'll be mintages as low as about 20 million up to about 80 or 90 million, considering most years, at least current years, quarters can be in the 200 to 300 million per Philly and per Denver. So these are considered much lower mintage, and I do hang on to all of them. Unless they're really, really beat up, I'll send them back. We did end up with 2 book fillers, though. This is one of the new Zitkala Sa, I guess is maybe how you say it. I did need 1 Philly because I'm doing 2 sets of books. And I only had 1 Philly and 1 book, so I needed that one. And then I am still on the lookout for 2 Denver Marietta Tall Chiefs, and we found 1 of them. Now, this one's not in the best of shape, but it will be a book filler. So we were excited to have that. Now, coming all the way back around to this guy. So I did a little bit of research. It looks like this came from like the Danbury Mint is what I could find. The Danbury Mint. You could buy these. The introductory offer on them is $9.95 for your first coin. And that's 65% off their MSRP. So I assume every quarter after that was like $16.95. And what I don't recall is it might have been $9.95 to get 2 of them. I can't remember, but it opted you into a subscription to continue to get more. Now, according to the marketing, these are 24 karat gold leafed and platinum leafed. So that's not silver on there. That's actually platinum. We have some circulation marks, so I'm sure that takes away from some of the value. Still a gorgeous coin. I'm going to go ahead and flip it up and add it to my collection because I think it's really neat, especially considering I found it in a roll. So this is probably my favorite find of the whole hunt. Next would be finding these leaky buckets. I know this one's kind of grimy. I may try to clean it up, but I love finding these leaky buckets because I just think they're really interesting. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, let me know. Drop on down below. Click that like button and leave me a comment. If you have any friends that like coin roll hunts or you know people that aren't watching my videos, make sure you share the channel out with them. I'd really, really appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, make sure you click that little subscribe button and then click that notification bell so you get notified each and every time I release a new video. I'd really appreciate it. Special shout out to all my channel members. Thank you guys for supporting the channel each and every month. I really appreciate it. Every little bit helps. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm filming this on like the second or third day of spring, so pretty cool. It's starting to get warm out. It was 65 degrees here in Atlanta today, and it was wonderful to be outside for a little bit. So hopefully you guys are all getting warm wherever you're at. And with that, take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.